Tell it in German. Nobody understands, but it's fine.
It's Ponzi. Henk, what is Ponzi?
Ponzi scheme.
Fuck, I don't know what it is. Oh, good God.
You're more than welcome. Like I said, I've got the 5
Jeffrey,
spots. I'll switch between you guys. Like, if you want, I'll send you an invite. It's usually
I can
easier that way.
also. I mean, I've been here for a while. I can take a seat on the bench, and Jeffrey can come in.
No, we just
I've
switch
never
you
seen
over.
Jeffrey on camera, so I'm
Like that.
excited.
See?
Oh,
That's why I've got 5 scenes, so I can switch between whoever's talking. I just got to do it manually. I've got no way of doing it.
Cool.
Yeah, so like.
Yeah, Jeffrey, come on in. It's Friday night, baby. We having a good time.
So like I could just.
Yeah, well, it's getting there.
He hasn't got a hat.
No, my hat's up there.
Oh my God! Get off! Turn that camera off. He's got no hat on.
But he's got the overalls on. Yes.
I mean, he's got overalls on. I thought it was just for that stream.
Oh no, this is a lifestyle, baby.
Oh yeah. No, I thought it was just that particular stream.
Oh no, this is. I got pinstripe ones like a train engineer and a matching hat to go with it. I ain't even playing, man.
Hell
out
yes.
with style.
It's Jeffrey. Wow. No, I mean, but it's because like you live on a large plot or something, or is it just because you just like him?
I only live on like a quarter acre, man. I don't have a lot, but I surround it with cannabis plants. So there's that.
He was watering them yesterday.
You know what I do have though? Overalls in every style, every print.
I have tan ones, black ones, green ones.
Can I borrow them? Can I
Sure.
Can I come try it on?
Yeah,
that comes completely untouched.
That is not a problem. We're doing a winter retreat, or not a winter retreat, a fall retreat in September, just in Northern California. The closest airport is probably Reno. Everybody knows how to get to Reno, but we're spending another 6 days out in the forest. We just got back last week from 6 days in the Sierra Nevadas, and yeah, you want to recharge yourself. Go unplug. Like I didn't have any phone service. I didn't have a telephone. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have nothing but a flushing toilet and some water. That's pretty much what was at that place for 6 days, and it was amazing. I didn't want to come home, but I missed my stream. I missed all my people. I mean, I really did. I felt the call to come back because, as I tell people all the time, I was sent here to do this. I was called here to come and read cards in this platform. I got lots of people that yell in my ears all the time that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just don't fight with it.
Yeah.
Reno yesterday. Well, yeah, you were like right in Bigfoot territory outside of Reno. The Motu stream is a lot of fun. I don't know why I can't get people to watch it. Oh, there's a baby.
I still want to see. Hello, Jamie. I still want to see his parrots because I always hear them chattering, or parrot.
Oh my God!
No, don't disturb them now. But it'll be fun to see them on camera.
They're right over there. I can hook it up. I got 8 people on hold, but I can talk. See here, there's
look at him.
Oh.
And then right over yonder are the little birds.
And do they like talk to each other?
Well, yeah. I was an asshole for like 2 years. We had 1 parakeet and like 6 cockatiels, and nobody spoke parakeet. So for like a year and a half, he just kind of learned how to get along with the cockatiels. But we finally bought him we thought was going to be a girlfriend, but turned into be another boy. So now we have Forrest and Lieutenant Dan.
It is Pride Month, Jeffrey. So.
Oh no, I got a pair of bonded males called we call them Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. Oh, they've been living together for 15 years, and they absolutely bond with each other on a regular basis.
Do you let them free fly in the place, or do they always have to stay?
They have a great big cage. They can stretch their wings. They can flutter in and out. The parakeets can fly all around it. The macaw comes out and sits in the living room. Most of the time he's not even in that cage. So he has free, but he's clipped. If you love
I
your
would love
parrot,
to
you'll
have
clip
some
them.
cockatiels, but I don't think my cat would.
I
Oh,
think
I
your
got
cat would
lots
love
of.
them.
We actually breed them, and I have lots of friends that have them with cats. They're fine. You just
Yeah, I think my cat, I think he would be really sweet, but he plays really aggressively. So I just wonder, or like, I think that he might hurt it unintentionally.
well,
So,
in that case, you wouldn't want to clip them so that it could fly, and then it'll sit on top of a bookcase and laugh at it. It'll wait for it to jump at it and then fly away. Trust me, I see it all the
hold on, let me
time.
go get my husband so you can tell him all of these things and you can convince him, okay?
And the funniest thing was when he was doing the Motu channel, and the dog comes like right behind him and
Oh,
bark, 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 bark.
she's laying right
And
over
he
here
just
on the
carries on
couch
like
too.
he just carries on like nothing's wrong. If I don't say anything about it, nobody will notice. And the dog was having a full conversation with him, like right behind him, but he's trying to be very, very serious. I thought
Yeah,
that it just made me laugh.
he
All right, let's see it. We'll see you when you get back.
he had yeah. You gotta ignore them or they get what they want. You
I
know,
want attention.
that's right. That's exactly what it is. They want attention, and so I ignore her so that she just stops.
Yeah, yeah,
I know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
eventually we'll stop doing that. But she's only 6 months old. She's pure puppy.
Oh,
She's
okay.
puppy all the time. The bigger one here is her sister. And she's 2 years old now, and she has chilled way, way out. So, and then I've got a half Pomeranian Chihuahua Maltese laying over there on the
You've got a whole zoo.
pillow. Oh, I do. I have 4 dogs, man.
Oh,
I
that's
have
why there were 7 of them when you went camping,
We
because
had
4 of them were
7 of
yours.
them in camp. That is no joke. We had 7. The Duncans, they have a Shepherd Husky mix, a Shepherd, and a Cocker Spaniel that's like old as
Oh, they're
shit and
nuts.
blind. So, but I've been like waiting for them to get the news that like Charlie passed away for 5 years now, and Charlie just keeps on coming to the campground every year.
Just keeps on going.
Now I'm wishing for him to keep coming. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, girl, you got another trip in you.
Yeah. I bet you the
But
dogs love being out there though, freedom and
oh
just
god,
running
they get to lay
around.
in the dirt and eat
Oh,
stuff off
they.
the ground and chase the squirrels and bark at the
Mm.
birds and oh yeah, my dogs literally we
They-
put them in a kennel at night inside the tent because there are wild animals out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't see any skunk this year, but we definitely had trash pandas, little bears. And when you said that we don't have any bears anymore, I'm like, no way, dude, trust me. We have bears. We
No,
absolutely do.
I literally just assumed that most, like, especially closer to towns than that most of them would have been pushed out, further out to the wilderness, so they
Well,
wouldn't
up
really be
here,
around towns.
yeah. See, people are confused about what California actually is. See,
Yeah.
everybody thinks that California is L.A., San Diego, San Francisco. Okay, but that's actually a very small percentage of the state. The rest of the state is the Sierra Nevada mountains that go from Oregon almost all the way to Southern California. So the whole eastern side of the state is nothing but national forest from one end to the other.
Mm.
And then once you get up above Sacramento, you get out into the growing fields where I live. So our towns have 10,000 people, not a million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between 3
That makes
towns,
a big difference.
if we have 50,000 people based across 50 square miles of towns, I'd be surprised. And then you have all these little mountain towns that are up there in the grow areas, and they have,
I'd love to be one of those.
2,000-3,000 people in them. Where we were was in Douglas City. That's in the middle of the Trinity National Forest there on the Trinity River. I posted a picture in my Discord. The population was 60, not 60,000, 60 total people in that town. That's where I want to live.
Well, I've been trying to move to smaller and smaller places because of that. Because, like, you get to a certain age, you realize that towns really aren't good for you or healthy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand. Like, I've always considered like retiring in Costa Rica.
I considered it as well.
Because in Costa Rica,
just like
if you
I
have
did.
if you have an American Social Security check coming in every year, they'll
Mexico.
actually move you to Costa Rica. The government will, and they will put you up in a friggin' paradise compared to what you can get anywhere else because you have a guaranteed $600 or $6,000 a month coming in, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know,
As long as
you can have a cook, a barber. You know, your own barber will come to the house and cut your hair. You don't have to go down and sit and wait for your turn in the barber shop. I mean, they literally will treat you like royalty because you have, you know, $3 to $6 grand a month coming in.
Yeah,
And
Costa Rica is more difficult to get into. You do have to actually have an income.
correct. You have to have a verifiable income to be able to live there. You can visit there anytime you want.
You can visit,
but
then you
to
want to
actually become a resident, you know, because they're like Mexico. I mean, did you become a Mexican citizen?
No, I'm still trying to get. Well, I'm still going to go in to find out. But with Mexico is more relaxed on that. They like, for example, Costa Rica. You come here on holiday and you fuck off. You know,
right?
Like,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
you don't get to stick.
yeah,
you don't
I've
get to
been
renew it. You don't get to stick around unless you got cash.
Yeah, I've been to Tijuana Airport and paid the 60 peso 6-month tax. You know, as a resident tourist, so I could come and go into Mexico for 6 months without without having to pay each time I come in.
I mean, I need to go and find that out because I've been here for 3 months with the European passport. You can come here for 3 months without worrying about it. Not while I'll worry about it then. Well, like I've got to sort something out.
It
now.
was just a basic Google search that got me the information that I needed for all of that. Like here, you can take a bus. For $72, it'll drop you up at Tijuana Airport.
Yeah. Well,
I think, Joe, you probably have experience with that as well, but a lot of the information that you can find online in practice, depending on where you are, they will be a lot more lax with it.
Yeah.
Depending on the country. So,
yeah, Mexico is pretty relaxed about that. Literally, I came in I mean, if I had come through my airport, with 3 bags, and one's overweight, and like barely walking with the stuff I'm carrying in, like on my shoulder, like, and I would have been a little bit more suspect. Like, why are you carrying so much stuff if you're visiting? They just look at the passport and say, well, yeah, what's your purpose for visiting?
Yeah.
Sir, would you put your bags on the table, please? We'd like to have an inspection.
They did that twice.
Like when my visa got rejected from the Netherlands, the Dutch government told me, they said, like, not only do you have to leave the Netherlands, you have to leave Europe, period.
Yeah.
You have to, I don't care if you go back to the US, but you have to leave Europe or the European Union specifically. And I was like, no. So I went to Latvia then. That's when I moved to Latvia. And I wasn't there illegally. I was for all intents and purposes. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Right. This is a what if situation. Maybe.
The cards say that I was not there. And then I went to Germany with my husband, and I just applied for a new visa. And they
don't really talk to each other.
No, they don't communicate with each other at all.
You could go to every single country. You could just go in and out and nobody would really notice.
You can go, look, I mean, you can literally go to the city-states within these countries and they don't talk to each other. You know, people look at, like, I've been to France a few times. I speak French, Parisians are assholes, but the rest of France are wonderful people. There are 16 city-states in France that don't have anything to do with Paris. Paris is like the Memphis.
He's not talking to you. He's not talking to you, Apos, don't worry.
Yeah, it's just crazy. No, that's what I mean. It's, I'm not talking about every single person in Paris is an asshole, but when you speak English,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, when you speak English and you refuse to do so for tourists, just to be an asshole. When I go out to the grape fields, they're all like, "Oh yeah, come on in, Mr. American guy. We speak your language. It's fine."
Yeah,
I think it depends on your character. It depends on how easy you are when it comes to adaptability and like reading the room in a sense and being able to get on with people. Then
we had the same problem in Canada when we would go up to go muskie fishing. We would go to French Canadian land. I don't even know what Quebec, I guess it was outside of Quebec, and they would pull the same joke that they don't speak English, that they want to see you try and fumble through French. And then somebody like me who steps up, who speaks French, and they all of a sudden don't want to speak French either.
Oh, yeah, because I don't speak it either.
I just called them every name in the book between, don't be a dick, let's take their money, or we're going to go somewhere else is what they got in French. And all of a sudden they speak English. It was just weird.
Yeah. There have been times that I've been caught at the border of the Netherlands where I didn't want to show my American passport, obviously, because I didn't have a visa. So I just pretended that I was Dutch. Ja, ik heb helemaal geen idee. Dat heb ik gewoon vergeten. Ik ben een student en nou ja. Sorry, but I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm Dutch. Hello? Ik ben hier geboren, huh? What?
I got out of a situation in Mexico because I acted as though I was deaf. I was just ignoring him. I was drunker than shit. I shouldn't have been out. The cops yelling at me. I'm just walking down the street, ignoring him, and he comes up and he grabs me on my shoulder, and I was like, and he just
He
went.
says the accent is quite convincing.
And he walks away.
And I don't speak Dutch now for over 4 years or something. So they really believed it. I really had them.
I find
Go ahead.
I find the France thing a bit weird because Paris is a very touristy city. So you think that, like, for example, if you go to Cape Town, but I mean they are genuinely nice, but they are genuinely like very, very friendly towards tourists because that's part of the income. So they don't treat tourists like shit. They rip them off, but wholly with cash, cash wise.
It's just like when you go to New Orleans. Okay, there's a tourist section, and then there's a non-tourist section of New Orleans. It's much like that in Paris. It's like the places where people go and stay, and they stay in the West Bank, or they, whatever the case may be. They those people cater to them. But the moment you go, hey, let's go out to check out something that most people don't go. What's the 10 most police things in France? You start delving into that stuff, and then people don't want you there.
Yeah, and in all honesty, they get sick and tired of having tourists like all year round. Like in Cape Town, it's tourist season almost the whole year because it literally is only 3 months that the weather isn't like really great. So we have, like, there when I was there, we had tourists like continuously. Hearing Dutch, hearing Portuguese from Brazil, it was like a common thing. But I don't know, it's just different there. But that's why I do understand when you have tourists constantly, like, say, if you live in a coastal area or whatever, and they're constantly in your fucking village, and they're just like, wow, they're so, and you just get sick of them, I suppose. So Parisians just want to get on with their life. They don't want to be dealing with tourists, It's still,
yeah, that's also big city things as well. When you live in such a populated area, people just don't care about other people because there's so many people. Like, you just don't have time for it.
Yeah.
We lived in Central Florida, right there in Disneyland's area, and literally there's 1.3 million people that live in the Orlando Kissimmee metro, but we have another 1.2 million people that come in as tourists. So now you've doubled the number of people, in an area. I'm just trying to do business. I was running a computer repair business for little corporations, and I couldn't get across town in less than 3 hours. I mean, it literally was just like, oh yeah, I'm sorry you're down. I'll be there tomorrow. Can't get there today. Sorry, it's after 3, and every tourist is going back into Disney because they didn't want to eat lunch there. They would literally, like, you could time it. 11 o'clock hits. They don't want to spend $15 burgers in Disney, and every road around Disney is full for 3 hours, and then you can get back across town. It's sickening after a while. 15 years of that shit, I was done. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care who I have to shoot. I don't care whose truck I have to hang under. I am getting out of here, and I haven't been back.
Yeah. I mean, I lived for about 8 or 9 years in Cape Town, but I didn't live in the city. I never want to live in the city. Well, mind you, I'm now in the center of a very small, very compact little city, little town on an island. But like, I lived out of town, so like, I didn't really get to see the tourists. They would be on the beaches, like the best beaches were where I lived, up in that area. So we didn't have to live with them day in and day out. But if you, for example, like, there's an area called Bo-Kaap, which is just always filled with tourists because it's just one of those tourist attractions. And but even the people there are so friendly. Like, I was there. I lived there, and I was there taking photographs. And so the roads are very, very narrow, and sometimes they had no pavements. They had pavement was just literally wide enough for me to stand on. I mean, like, up against the wall, there was like a van coming past. And it was literally scraping off like the side of me, And so one of the residents in a very colorful Cape colored accent says, "What are you doing, you beep, 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 bleeping me, idiot?" And I was like, I'm just laughing. I was just like reading it. And you say, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're trying to kill the tourists, kind of thing. So I thought it was very funny. So no, I actually live here. I just came up to take photographs because I love the area. But I can imagine when you live in such a small community, and like the houses, like they're like row houses. If you I have photographs, but I don't have them on hand. If you look at Bo-Kaap, like, it's like they're all colored different colors. Every house is a different color. You have like an acid green house with pink trimmings, and you'll have a blue house with red. It's like very colorful. It's beautiful. But it's a very small community, and their doors are on the pavement, and the pavements are like this wide. So when you have hundreds of tourists, and tourists are stupid. They stand in the streets, they block the traffic. So I also wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them. Like me, I mean, I'm always active, and I'm always looking because I had my equipment with me. I didn't want to be mugged. Like I don't act like a tourist. I act like a proper photographer is not going to get mugged. So like I was looking around, so I saw the car coming. So it's like up against the wall. Like I don't have anywhere else to go. Like it's like I was like literally flat against the wall. The car was like, and it was just the funniest experience I've never forgotten because he just started swearing in the most colorful Cape Colored accent, and I was kind of laughing because he was going very slowly. It was my slowest being run over experience ever. So I don't blame people for not liking tourists.
No, when I went to Mexico to Tijuana. My buddy was like, all right, as soon as you get to town, they sell Velcro wallets and burner phones. Buy one of each. I'm like, why? He says, because I know you're going to go to some seedy ass areas and you're just going to get a gun stuck in your face that says, give me your phone and your wallet. Yeah. So I did exactly that. I bought a cheap ass Velcro wallet and a burner phone for like $30. That night, sure enough, I went to a seedy ass place. Give me your wallet and your phone, essay. I was like, shit. Okay, fine. So I gave it to him. He went running off, and I'm just laughing because my friend lost his real wallet and his real phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, why aren't you upset? I'm like, dude, because, I took Bill's advice, bro. You didn't get a fake wallet and a phone. He's like, no, man. I'm like, good luck. Now you ain't got no ID to get back across the border. Oh, do you know how hard that is for a soldier to get across the border with no ID? They come get you.
Yeah,
they come all the way from San Diego and come get you. They're not very happy when they show up.
What do you have to do actually if you're serving and then you lose you have military ID and then you have regular ID? Well, is what it is.
Correct.
What's the process then if you lose your documentation?
Right. The military ID is fine. Once you get back to the base, you just go get a copy of it, and your state ID is the same way, unless you're not living in the state that you're currently in. Then I don't know what the hell they do because I've never actually had that problem. But you, as a soldier, you usually put your green, we call it greenies because that's the color they wear. But your military ID in your shoe, you put your military ID in your shoe because those things are worth $20,000. People will kill you for a military ID in Mexico because then they
what could they do with it though?
They can impersonate a soldier.
It's worth $20,000. If they get their hands on it, what can they do with it?
They'll sell it on the black web. On the dark web.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's then somebody would impersonate the person that's on the ID.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, they have a whole lot of information about that military ID on it, so it gives somebody the knowledge of how to make others. So they have a background of it. They can digitize it. Now all of a sudden they're changing the name, they're changing the picture, and now you've got imposters. Even if they're not trying to get on base, they might be able to get across the border with it.
Yeah,
because they have that good of fake documents now.
And
fake documents.
That reminds me. My first year in Europe, literally like the first month, I was on the train in the Netherlands, and somebody stole my passport, social security card, and my birth certificate, all from the same, all in one.
Having it all at the same place at the same time is probably a really bad idea.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're 22 years old and you've never been abroad, and
Yeah, I do know because that happens to a lot of people. I totally get you.
So, I mean, for me, I was like, in my mind, I was like, hopefully, I was thinking
it'll be fine.
It went to someone that could really use maybe a refugee or someone that could better their future, and they needed it to do. In my mind, it was for a good reason. So I'm happy to help.
You try to rationalize it that way, but
it doesn't. That's not true.
People who can get in on a. Well, no, it's not your fault that it was stolen, and you didn't give it to anybody. You didn't sell it to anybody. You don't have any guilt into that. But yeah, it's. They don't do that for less than nefarious reasons. I mean, they just
It's not because actually. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, there's all these people believe that people steal because they're hungry. Well, that's actually factually incorrect because people steal because they're criminals. People who are hungry, they beg. They don't steal. And I'm not being facetious or anything. It's literally.
We're not belittling anybody.
Facts.
It's just this. Yeah, it's just this.
It's actual facts. Like a mother will steal for a child.
Yeah.
A mother will commit to I suppose a father as well will commit a crime for a son but they won't. They would
I
just
don't think
go without.
when we talk about stealing or like kleptomania, the act of stealing something, I don't think it has anything to do with your economic stance.
No,
It's
No,
more to do with
kleptomania
your
is a brain disorder.
yeah,
You
it's more
have
to
to
do
steal
with your
something.
psychological
Yeah,
makeup because people
absolutely.
just like to steal.
Well, like I liken it like this. Okay, a father has a starving kid at home. He goes into the 7-Eleven and he steals a gallon of milk and takes it home and he gives it to his kid, and his kid's not starving anymore. He has committed a crime. He has committed theft, whatever. He doesn't need to go to jail though. That guy needs to pick up some trash on the side of the road, and somebody needs to help him because that kid doesn't need to be hungry. The same man goes into the 7-Eleven, sticks a knife in the clerk's face and says, "Give me the register money," and runs out and then takes that money to buy food for his kid. That guy needs to go to jail. There's a difference between crime and a crime on person.
Yeah.
When you're convicted of a crime that doesn't involve somebody else's life or the threat of somebody else's life, then you need to do some kind of community service to make up for that. But if you've gone and been a violent person, you absolutely need to see some jail time.
It's such a strange, the way the justice system is set up and how we like judge morals and how we judge actions based on morals, considering so many factors, which is such a fucking conversation I'm not going to get into.
And it's also based on religion.
We could start there.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, our justice system is totally based on the morals of religion.
But not, yeah. Then it's such a fucking topic, man.
I am all for all of it. Criminal justice reform, justice system reform, all of that. We can't let it be status quo, or it doesn't.
Let's make it really simple then, because it's Friday night. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
You know what I find really mind-boggling? If someone goes on trial for murder, for example, or for anything, right? And you have a jury of your peers. You have these 12 people, but both of your you have the prosecutor and you have the defense, and their job is really to nitpick, and they can dismiss people and they can accept people based on how they think they would, provide help to their case. How is that? And these people have no fucking, I mean, they don't understand the law. They have no training in law. They don't understand. Really, at the end of the day, they just base stuff on like, oh, well, I feel like they're guilty based on what I've seen, or I feel like this. Like most of the time, these people are pretty. Like, what is that? Why?
To be fair, in a jury trial,
start there.
Yeah, to be fair, in a jury trial, both sides have the opportunity to dismiss people. And it's what they call they're making a fair playing field. And what fair means is that one side gets what it wants without anybody being able to complain about it. Doesn't make it an equal playing field. It just one side finally says, all right, okay, that's good enough. And usually it's in favor of the defendant because the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. But when they find him guilty, when they actually find him guilty, in most cases, there is a preponderance of evidence. Like there's a videotape of it. The neighbor watched him do it. They found the goods in his car, and his DNA is on the gun. So that kind of thing is no doubt that homeboy did it. But I agree with you on the ones that don't have concrete.
My critique of the system is more of why do we have 12 people responsible for picking whether someone is innocent or guilty who have no
experience?
I mean, they're from all walks of life,
because they're the jury of your peers. They are you.
But from whose peers?
Because you can only be convicted.
What is that? What does peers mean? Let's start there then. What is the definition of peer?
Well, that's the thing. Is most of the juries are selected. They have a most of them. Okay, so if say a 19-year-old is on trial, your jury selection will end up being between 19 and 25.
Good luck. Fucking idiots. I wouldn't want that.
Well, it depends because they see things your way. And that's what you want in a jury. You want a jury that's basically around your same demographic so that they look at the world in the same manner that you do. So that
that's what I'm saying though. So it's not in accordance with the law.
No,
like legal proceedings.
Law doesn't matter.
It does. That should be. It should be.
It should, but it doesn't. I agree it should,
What?
but it absolutely doesn't. Money talks.
I see what you mean, though. Okay, so
you just need to
So
find
you
the ones
want
that agree
people
with
of
you.
your peer group to judge you based
So
upon
it's
the
all
evidence
just
that
like-
they put against you. So if you have a good defense attorney, he's going to have 90% of the stuff that they want to present against you thrown out. So there's only going to be this tiny little block of stuff that says maybe he did it. Okay, you're more likely to get away with that than you would be to be convicted. Now, if you're a judge, if you're getting judged by just a guy that knows the law, he's going to find something to convict you on every single time. Why? Because that's his job.
I think there's more nuance to it than that.
I would hope so, but it's money talks. Look at who the judges are.
Essentially, like what you've described, it's completely biased. It's how people perceive how other people have, and then it goes back to morality, right?
Yeah,
and then you mentioned it's based on a religious system. What if I don't prescribe to that religion? Then people would demonize me because I'm a tarot reader and I do fucking full moon rituals.
Oh my God, you're a witch.
They're gonna send me straight. They're gonna hang me at the gallows. Like, hello.
Yeah. We haven't quite reached the age of enlightenment yet. And this will take us into a fun place to go on a Friday night. The age of enlightenment is coming where it's no longer a bad thing to be a pagan. It's no longer going to be a bad thing to be a witch or a druid. No one's going to look down upon you because the idea that Judaism isn't based upon mystical, magical magicians is crazy talk. If you look at the Jewish Torah in itself, there's a whole lot of mysticism and magicians and deity work, and they cast lots, which were actually runes, and prophesizers and people who say that they're related to God is all through that book, just like every other book. It's all based upon the same pagan ideas, just disseminated to the culture in a way that they can digest it. So when we look at Christianity, Judaism, Christianity, and the Nation of Islam, they all worship a Brahmic God, Abrahamic God. Okay, they're all worshiping the same God, the same deity in their own way. But what they don't realize is that all three of them are actually worshiping Brahma, who is he who sits on high in the Hindu gods, because Abraham is not actually a person. Abraham is a description of one who worships Brahma, Brahmic. So the whole confusion that Abraham was a person and found this burning bush and started Judaism is basically his recognition of the highest Hindu god as the man in charge. You shall have no other gods before me. It didn't say that there aren't other gods. It just says you will take nobody else's advice before mine. If I say something, it should be done. And that's what it's all based upon. So it's all coming out. It's all unraveling. The whole Christianity thing is a nut job because those people aren't even Christians. If they look at anything in the Old Testaments, they're not Christian. They're Judeo-Christians.
But I agree with that as well.
How do you argue with somebody who doesn't even understand their own doctrine?
You don't. You give them a book on theosophy.
But they won't read it.
Well, yeah, you give them a book on theosophy, or you try to make, because if you look at C.W. Leadbeater's book on theosophy, he doesn't want you to forget your religion. He really doesn't. He just wants you to understand it better. He wants you to understand that gods and demons and angels and archangels and all of those concepts came long before any Judeo-Christian concept before them. The Vedic texts that come into Hindu, to come into India and gathered into the Hindu text. Hinduism isn't even a single religion. It's just a gathering of the Vedic texts that existed long before anything else. And all of these concepts, including the Great Flood, are in them. And every religion that follows after it basically takes stories from the Vedic texts, changes them for the culture that they're working with, and gets them to do what they want by saying that God's going to put you in a place that burns you and punishes you forever if you don't do what we say.
Yeah.
I have a question then for you.
Okay.
What is your prediction then for the coming 50, 100, 200? I don't know a timeline, but considering how these groups of people have interacted with each other, and how, considering things like globalization, the internet, and people are slowly, change happens, but it happens slow. Do you think there will be a time where this will become more more integrated, where religions will. It's kind of a stupid formulation of the question, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, where do you see this going?
No, I get 10 billion people that are on the 2.5 billion people are Catholic, not just Christian, but Catholics. 2.5 billion people are Muslim.
The way you say it, like if it's not bad enough, it wasn't bad enough.
Right. Catholic. Well, no, it's specifically following the Pope. But that was the term I was trying to, they're Catholics. They're specifically following the Pope's Roman Catholic Pope's doctrine. Why do I say that? Well, because that's a 2.5 billion person army who will go to war the second if the Pope says to slaughter anyone who isn't a Christian or anyone who isn't Catholic. 2.5 million people is the army strong. So that's an important thing to remember. Okay, the other 2.5 million people being Muslim are already teaching all of their descendants how to kill the infidels. While our kids are worrying about, Barney and playing with Tonka trucks, their kids are learning how to field strip an AK-47.
Wait.
The Middle East and Upper Asia is full of all of that war-torn
all of Muslims, territory. They're not doing something like this.
No, well, okay.
No, they're absolutely not.
Not the greater number of them. I agree. I'm just talking about the people. Like you look at the Taliban, and you look at Afghanistan. Remember?
Okay, then okay.
I'm talking about
there are
many.
Like Islam is one of the major religions here in Germany, and it's absolutely not the case at all.
Just like, because I've read the Quran and I've been around a lot of Muslims, going through Iraq twice. Okay. I saw the worst of it. I know that I saw the worst of it.
Yeah, you saw the worst of war, but that's completely different.
That is what my judgment is based upon. Okay, but those clerics, as they're speaking it in a place that no longer is going to allow women to learn how to read, they'll go back to the old ways. And I'm not talking about downtown Germany. Okay, I'm talking about where the Islamic Reich came from. The same reason that Muhammad was a warlord. There's a lot of things in the Quran.
I think we're about to get invaded.
There's a lot of things in the Quran that people ignore, just like there's a lot of things in the Holy Bible that people ignore.
Sure, you have extremists everywhere.
They can choose the things that they want to either use and look at because it's a good thing, or forget about because it was a bad thing. But it does exist in the book. And just like the Christians, I say that aren't really Christians or Judeo-Christians, the only ones that really get Christianity are the ones that understand the new covenant of Christ. Islam needs to have a rebirth like that. The ones that don't believe in all of that portion of it can absolutely evolve into a complete, loving and warm and understanding religion of the people, not still connect themselves to the warlord and the warlike actions that happen in those regions. That's all I was
kind of my question for you. Do you see this progressing in a sense of organized, structured orthodoxies become less important because people realize that the things that we can take that are important for the betterment of humanity that are pretty much the same across all religions, we can take that and we can run with it, and we don't have to use all of these crazy
exactly. I think that's
whatever the fuck people want to do in their own religion.
We'll ultimately end up there. But again, back to the idea of theosophy. It all goes down to, if you look at every major religion in the world, you can call them religions, you can call them cults, you can call them sects, you can call them whatever you want. That's literally what they are. There is one simple rule that will make you right in the deity of anybody's choice, and it's real simple: love everyone. If you simply love everyone like you love yourself, there isn't a religion on the planet, or not on the planet, that would show you in a bad light in their religion. They couldn't point at you and go, "There's a sinner because he doesn't accept our God's name," but he loves everybody. So the deity isn't going to look bad upon him, because that was Jesus' covenant. That was it. That's all you needed to do to get into heaven, was just love everyone. That was the new law.
I agree with what you said, that pagans will become less, I guess, persecuted, for lack of a better word. But I mean, traditional, pagan only means not Christian. That's all pagan means, really.
And so we don't have a movement to fix that. Like everybody's got a movement
But I
to improve
think
their
that pagan will
situation.
eventually evolve into an amalgam of, am I using the right English word? Amalgam, like a
Yeah,
mixture,
a
a
mishmash. Yes,
combination
correct.
of the best qualities of everything. Because I do see like the upcoming generations. I mean, I'm a millennial. I was born in 93. I'm, you know, I'm young, I'm hip, I'm down with the kids. And it's things
Sorry.
things things you see these braids, these are TikTok braids. Hello.
I'm like
Right.
so not down with any kids. I don't know why they like me. It's like, go away.
Cancer took
But I
mine.
really see there's an openness and there's a realization that we just can't continue functioning the way that we've been functioning, because obviously it hasn't worked for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So like we got to make a change. And I really think that it's going to be like exponentially hitting the gas pedal soon with stuff like this.
I
And
honestly
and you mentioned
see
extremism. I mean, yeah, every religion has
Oh yeah, the Christian extremists are nut jobs.
sure.
Holy God in heaven, man! Those people will light your dog on fire if it thinks it's thinking about Satan or something else, man.
I just want to come in there with some stuff that Aposteta has been saying. She says she's recently met an awesome young lady on Tuesday doing research on those matters. And she says her take is that we are replacing religion with new rituals. And I agree with that. It's the fear of cult, the cult of fear.
Yes, correct. And the idea of paganism being okay is the realization that many of the people are starting to identify that it's all paganism. Judeo-Christianity, paganism, they just have a single deity. That's all. They're not a monotheistic, system of belief, but they're still pagan ritual. Close your eyes, blow out the candles on your birthday, pagan ritual. Get up, say a prayer in the morning, pagan ritual. Sit up, have a coffee, have a cup of coffee, and then go do your morning dues. Pagan, pagan magic. It really is everything about religion. The transformation of bread into the body of Christ, pagan magic. The transformation of fruit juice into the blood of Christ, pagan magic. I mean, it literally is. Paganism is infused into all of these religions already. They were all based upon
Apples makes a really good point. She says, a little issue is that for now, rituals may feel a bit lonely. We have to come up with a better sense of community. So then you have to marry the two problems of being pagan, which is like a rejection of this organized orthodoxy. You have to prescribe to this certain whatever and follow it blindly, with the sense or with the need of having a community, which is interesting.
I like the community that's building on Twitch myself. I mean, it's really, I'm in more contact with more readers and, sensitive people since I've been here in January than I probably have been in my entire life. I've actually talked to people who don't even know that they're sensitive. I mean, I can, just through a conversation, they are prophetic in nature, but may not have been able to develop those gifts, to this point. But I don't ever tell somebody that. Like, you have to discover that gift for yourself and, accept the fact that you're going to go after it or reject it, because that's a big step into a great big world of understanding. Like, I'm an empath, okay? My whole entire life, I have worn trinkets and tokens to keep people's energy the hell away from me, because I couldn't not give them mine. As soon as I hit into an energy vampire, they would suck me dry. Until I started using tokens and I started drawing on my skin. I would draw runes on my hands. I would draw symbols on my backpacks, on my books, just literally to keep people's energy the hell away from me so it wouldn't suck through me. And I never understood it, because my mother was a half native like I am. She was half Cherokee. I am quarter Cherokee, quarter Lakota Blackfoot. And then both of my grandfathers were Irishmen, but she was only Cherokee. So the witchiness of the Cherokee and sensitives in their shamans is not a good thing. It's okay. Like, they go to a shaman when they need one, but they don't want their kid to be a shaman. You follow me? So, because that's a very lonely life. That's a whole life of isolation and solitude, and just that's not what she wanted for me, right? So she kind of like pushed me away from it. She was like, "You really don't want to develop this stuff, son.
Yeah, I don't want really to be doing this."
Right? You really want to concentrate on other things. Maybe concentrate on how to keep it away from you. And my weird upbringing was of nature beliefs, you know, from the Native Americans and Christianity. So I had Mother Earth, Father Sky, and a side of Jesus Christ on a weekly basis because I saw both of my grandmothers on a regular basis. So I didn't have that Christianity is the only way bred into me. I was accepting of other ideas of belief, you know, pretty much from the time I was 4 or 5 years old, running around on the reservation. I've got 250 cousins that live on 2 different reservations.
Wow.
And, you know, probably 1,000 second cousins by now. And witchcraft was like a regular thing, you know, burning of herbs when you're sick, go see the shaman, he'll pray over you, you know, all of those
house
things
when you have a fever.
Right. I mean, there was just all of those things were already like ingrained into me that when somebody called me a pagan one day, I was like, oh, is that a bad thing? You know, because the Christians are like that. But I've been through all the sects of Christianity too. I mean, I have been through, well, I went to the synagogue for 6 months, didn't fit there. Southern Baptists, Mid-Eastern, not Middle Eastern, but like East Coast Catholics, that didn't work out so good. West Virginia Pentecostal snake handlers. Yeah, that was fun, but I just couldn't hang with, are you going to handle the snakes this week, Jeffrey? No, sir, I don't believe I'm going to let that up to you. Thanks. Well, you know, God will keep you safe. I've only been bit 7 times. I mean, they're handling live rattlesnakes, like venomous friggin' things that will kill you, and around the church, bringing them into people and seeing who it strikes at and bringing them up and worshiping the devil out of them. Oh,
that's giving such Texas Ranger energy. Like not only do they have control of the church, but like pew pew pew, Texas Rangers, we're the police too. Hello?
Yeah, it's just it's the formal. See, you just went there. The control, and that's what formal religion has always been about. The cleric's ability to control everyone, from nobility to the lowest finances, poor guy.
First and foremost, money.
It is about, I don't want to, you know, they were the first con men. I mean, you know, the guys that I know when the moon's going to go dark so I can get the royalty to sacrifice 100 people and give me 10,000 gold coins so I can go bury them. He ain't burying them 10,000 gold coins. He's taking them to the brothel. You know, he's handing them out to the rest of the shamans, and they're going to have it over to the next
Mormons. Town. Jeffrey, are you done with the Mormons? How do you feel about the Mormons? I was baptized in the Mormon church.
Okay, I worked for the Mormons. I worked for a company that was full of Mormons. So I've actually been to the Mormon church. I understand their whole spiel. I get it. They're almost right though. They are almost right. It's scary, and I'll tell you why it's scary
for you.
Because they're crazy, but they're almost right. So the idea of theosophy is basically the 3 parts of the human. Okay, so you've got the body, mind, and the spirit. And when you die, your body dies. Okay, so that's done for now. It's going to turn into dust. That's what it came from. But your mind and your spirit go on. Your mind is pretty much what you learned this time around.
Unlike the Titanic.
So you're taking with that. You're taking that with you. You're moving into the astral plane for a while, and you're kind of contemplating over all of this stuff. And then you move into the mental plane. And then once you move past the mental plane, for whatever time that contemplation takes, you move into ego. That's like the ultimate place that you're trying to achieve your oneness with your ego, to be no need to come back into this physical body. You can still go down into the mental and down into the astral without coming into the physical once you understand the ultimate understanding, which I don't yet. This is probably my 800th time around. But the Mormons' understanding, what's from my understanding of reading the Mormon book and the teachings that I went through, they are aspiring to be godlike so that they can be reborn a god of their own planet.
The men, only the men, though.
Right. That's what. Yeah. Well, I was a man, so that was the teachings that I got.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. They're literally aspiring to be godlike, so that when they die, they will be born a god of their own planet.
You get your own universe and everything. Yeah.
Right. It's just that's almost like the Scientologists. You know, I'm down with people being.
The next thing I was going to bring up was Scientology. Yes.
I can't afford my piece of Xenon, so I don't really know a whole lot about Scientology. But apparently, wealth is not a problem.
The library card. We can't afford the library card. That's why.
You wanted to come in with something? you were going to come into something. I wanted to hear what you had to say. You had something about you were coming in with something. You wanted to say talk about something.
The Mormon. I might have been with the Mormons. I don't know.
Was it the Mormons? I'm not sure.
But the Scientologists, oh my God. I mean, look, Tom Cruise gave up his kids for Scientology. That's some weird, icky crap right there.
Maybe the kids were ugly.
You know what I think it is, honestly? I don't think it's about religion. I don't think he gave up his kids for religion. I think he gave up his kids for money.
I think
I think he gets paid to be the face of Scientology because they make fucking bank. It's not about religion. It's about money. At the end of the day, it's all about fucking money.
Wow, this is really. I never expected this conversation. I'm loving it.
I watched that Raimi girl show on TLC about leaving Scientology. She was an actress, and her whole family was wrapped up in it.
Lena or something.
Whatever. Yeah, she was the queen of the queen of queens. The King of
Queens, I think.
Yeah, the show was the King of Queens, but she was the wife on the show. That's who I'm talking about. She had this big, like 2 seasons of how bad Scientology was. And I've seen other documentaries about it, and I've read other books about it. And the fact that it can still exist legally here in the United States, I'm just amazed. I mean, the physical and violent harm that comes to people when they try to leave is criminal, and it's all tied to Scientology. They know it, but yet nobody seems to go after the source of the problem. I don't how many dark secrets do they have on politicians? Well, because that's like Epstein Island. I mean, Epstein didn't hang himself, and the madam, the girl who was delivering underage chicks to the island, went to jail, but she's not naming names, and nobody's been. I mean, what's going on here? Like, where are the kids? Like, we're not even having the kids speak up about who was raping them. So there's.
You mustn't confuse the
Sorry.
No, I'm saying you mustn't confuse the narrative with facts. The kids are unimportant.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we don't want to confuse that, but the Scientologists go back that way. Get away from the other side of it. Sorry. Yeah, I don't understand Scientology at all. I read Dianetics, but
I tried to read it.
Yeah.
I did have it, and I did try to read it. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, I did. I was young too. I was like 17 when I read I was in the middle of all that, religious exploration. Hey, look, I've been the best experience I had with any, real organized religion was with the New Age Christians. Those people know how to have fun. Their God is fun. That's every Saturday night and Sunday morning. They are partying in the old Chuck E. Cheese. The old Chuck E. Cheese closes down. There'll be a New Age Christian church in there next week. We lost our bowling alley. They put a church in it.
You see it?
But they just the New Age Christians, man, they rock and roll. They got a band in there.
I just missed her. She's doing her makeup. At least she's not driving.
At least I'm not starting another cult. I do my Twitch is a cult. We are a cult. I'm sorry. And what do we stand for?
No, you're probably more of a coven, wouldn't you be? I don't know if you would be a cult.
No, it's a cult. If once you follow, you can never leave. If you leave, I
will. You leave, I'll hunt you down and make you sorry.
Yes. And we'll still bring you back anyway. So
if you share any of the secrets, then we're gonna all your family. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then we're gonna get you. We're gonna get Elon Musk's Neuralink put into your head so we can control you.
What if you don't have family?
Well, you have family.
No, the only one I have. I would like it if you.
No, man, you have family. I'm your family now. So whether you like it or not, we're family.
No, but I'm saying I don't have any genetic family.
Yeah, it's okay. Genetic blood isn't worth it. Trust me. I got a blood brother somewhere. He lives somewhere in America. I have no idea where. I got a nephew. Don't know his name. It's okay. The man terrorized me for like 40 years until I told him, don't come back. Just don't come back. It's enough. Yeah, 40 years of this shit's enough.
Yeah, I'm the same. I tell everybody. I said, like family or not, it doesn't matter who it is. The genetics has got nothing to do with it. If somebody is,
toxic, cut them the freak out, man.
Yeah,
love them from afar.
Unfortunately, Hello, Hearts. How you doing? Unfortunately, people have gone the complete opposite extreme. You just go boo and they mute and they ban you and they mute you.
Right.
I was joking the other night because I was going to raid into somebody which had never been. There hadn't really been much on the stream, and if I know from another channel, I thought, we'll go and there support them, only to discover I'd been banned. And I'm going like, I've never even been to your fucking stream. Why am I banned? Because I must have
You're
said
so
something
fucking toxic, Joe. That's why.
Yeah. So now it's got the complete opposite extreme. We just ban everything in the world, and we see nothing, and then it's fine.
Well, we gotta.
I'm waiting for the day that I get canceled.
I've been canceled.
I haven't been canceled
twice,
yet,
and I'm still. Well, I've been canceled on other platforms, and now I'm here. Yeah, I do my thing, and I don't really worry about who I offend. I try not to be offensive. I don't say offensive things to make people unwelcome or feel bad about themselves. It's usually my belief about something that would be offensive to somebody. Like I was talking about.
Banned.
I was talking about the very text being, 11 to 14,000 years old. That's what that's what the estimates of those age. Oh my God, there weren't people 14,000 years ago. I was like, well, I've studied anthropology, and we had Homo sapiens. Well, we had the Homo line, 4.6 million years ago.
Wait, no, I'm gonna pull a Joe now, and I'm gonna say, how do you know? How do you know?
Because we have the skeletal remains in the DNA of those animals.
But how do you know? What's carbon dating? Explain it. How do you know?
No. It's not a matter of carbon dating. It's a matter of the evolutionary change. I know. I listen to him all the time.
I'm just trying to pull a Joe.
I'm trying to argue with him, and then he's like, how do you know that the pyramids are 6,000 years old? I'm like, because we have written record of cultures that have been seeing them
the
for
rings
that long.
and the trees, Joe. There were 35 billion rings.
The trees you can actually date. But
we have the giant redwoods here, and a lot of those that they cut down were like 25,000 years old when they cut them down in the 1800s. Now we have redwoods that are like 140 years old, and they're still cutting them down.
I dated a tree once, says esoteric Jezza.
I sat and talked to a tree for about a day and a half on mescaline once. Well, on peyote.
Do you guys remember the
I
movie
talked to him without
Superstar?
mescaline, but not for a day and a half.
Well, it was a vision quest. So basically, we spent the first 3 days in and out of the sweat lodge, and and then they peyoted us all up and sent us out into the woods for 3 days.
Ooh,
now we thought we were alone. Well, we were between 12 and 17. But we thought we were out there alone, but of course they were watching us. This was with the Blackfoot, and literally like day and a half into it, I just kind of sat down Indian style in front of this tree and had a conversation with a bear for like 30 hours. I mean, after that, I went back to try to find that bear in the tree. He wasn't there no more.
So you're going to be the next guest on the Joe Rogan podcast if you keep talking about bears and stream.
Which one of you was the bear?
Those are the kind of bears that Joe likes.
He's always talking about some fucking bear.
Who? Me?
No, Joe Rogan. Not this Joe. Joe Rogan.
We used to have grizzly bears here. Actually, we still have grizzly bears here, but they say they're extinct. The California grizzly bear, and they're not. We have yellow brown bears up here that don't look like a black bear with a great big hump.
Wait a minute. You said yellow brown bear that doesn't look like a black bear. Can we get some clarification on this?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Black bears are usually auburn, black, or like a blondish color, where grizzlies are yellow, brownish, and a little kind of not grayish is more the third color on those. So we have these black bears that are a very odd color for a black bear. Like we've never seen them before. And there's striped. A hump over the back of them. Well, they might be because, the aliens land up there at least twice a year, and I'm pretty sure they're breeding with the Bigfoot.
Not the bears, though. They stay away from. They're not breeding with the bears, though.
I keep forgetting that nobody here has seen my YouTube show. That would have gone over huge with that, but unfortunately, I told a joke that was an inside joke, and nobody was in on it.
Okay, now's the perfect opportunity for you to plug your YouTube because I don't know it either. So,
oh no, I abandoned my YouTube.
Now's the perfect chance for you to tell us all about it. What is it? Let us know.
Now he's on.
I abandoned YouTube to come to Twitch. To be honest with you,
but you still have the videos up, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's hear it.
And This one.
They're not monetized.
Going to talk over
you.
you.
Help me any. It just makes YouTube money, which is what I won't do.
The planes still looked
YouTube
smaller than
made
scope,
$212,000 in a time. They paid me 12.
They didn't know what type they were.
And then I got
There was no doubt
unmonetized because some jackass made copyright claim to one of my videos that they didn't have.
After his sighting, Stanley tried to contact the Phoenix.
I lost monetization.
Okay, it's gone now. What is that? Oh,
somebody's probably walking through, or
I think I've lost.
I have my camera covered because I'm gonna go step out for a second, but I'll be right back.
So I ran that shout out was for what replaces the YouTube channel is the X.
Yes, that's exactly what that is.
And somebody's replaced me with Jeffrey's. It doesn't really work if he's on camera, but there you
go. There's a story time with Two Gun Kelly is fun. We did Dogman the other day. What day was that? Wednesday, I think it was. I was supposed to do a stream yesterday, but we went and saw Asteroid City with everybody. Everybody in the world was in Asteroid City. Don't waste a fucking penny. Not one fucking penny. Gets wasted going to see that movie. If you want to watch it, wait till it comes on free TV. Don't even don't even pay for that fucker pay-per-view. Oh my God. Talk about the most horrible dog shit movie on the planet. And I mean, everybody was in it. Scarlett Johansson was in it. Tom Hanks, Never Go Anywhere with Tom Hanks was in it. Ed Norton was in it. Friggin' wild-eyed Willem Dafoe was in it.
Tom Hanks has also gone a bit nuts, though.
It was fucking horrible. It was just fucking horrible. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but God, Jeff Goldblum was in it. I mean, there was just, I liked all these people too, but in this particular movie, oh my God.
That's terrible.
No, they made it tolerable. It was the plot. It was the scenery and the acting was fantastic. What the hell was that movie?
The actual movie was terrible.
They put Brad Pitt on the moon. Astra, something. Ed Astra. Yeah, Ed Astra. Did you see that one?
No.
Ed Astra, they literally hired one of the most dynamic actors on the planet and then told him to act as boring as possible.
Why is he so bold? For some reason, let me give him a shout out. My shout out for Barney's still screwed up for some bizarre reason.
It just says, hey.
Yeah, for some reason, I must have accidentally, when I was trying to see why I wasn't working, I must have accidentally typed it in. And I keep forgetting. It's only when I see it that I remember. That's Jeffrey Sear.
Who's the beard?
Who's the beard?
Obviously, Barney's never seen my Motu show.
I don't think he's been to the... I'm actually not sure if he's been to... Because... I sometimes he's, because he's on European time. So he's 7 hours behind us. So I think sometimes your show might be a little bit late. Like, because you're late for me, So right. I think for him, he's already in bed by then. So that's why I don't think he's caught your show.
Well, that's 7:30 at my house when I start that stream at night, or not Motu, but the Seer stream.
Yeah, for me, it's usually about 8, 9 o'clock.
So you're 2 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, I think either 1 hour or 2 hours, because it usually ends for me 11, 12 o'clock. That's when.
Are you in Central Time?
Yes, CST.
Okay, you're 2 hours ahead of me.
Then just 2 hours. I thought it was 1 hour, but I wasn't sure.
No, Central is 2, Mountain is 1, and then Pacific is where I'm at. And then Eastern Time is 3 hours. Yeah,
the Barney's saying it's 10 p.m., which... 10 p.m.
Damn.
Oh, that's right. It's 3 o'clock now. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. There's 7 hours difference here. So, it's kind of difficult. That was them. Was that you? Or that
wasn't me.
Lucia? It was probably Lucia. She's back. I wanted to, sorry, I keep trying to butt in. It's Terry Jezza had some interesting conversation, but I skipped past now. Let me see if I can go back and read them. About what did he say? Alchemy and the Bible and alchemy. And let me see if I can find, actually, let me just call up his messages on the other side, because it'd be easier than to try and scroll through the whole chat. And he was, and if you can repeat them, I'd appreciate it.
Hey, Barney, welcome in.
What do you think of religion being linked to alchemy? But he had made other comments before then okay, so let's suppose this knowledge or spiritual. That's slightly different. Scroll back up. Keep scrolling back down. Let's say alchemy is possible, but just hypothetically, and the Holy Trinity is all about the combination of the materials. Jez, if you want to repeat what you were saying, because I can't find all your messages. That was an interesting. We were talking about religion and the Holy Trinity. I thought that was an interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
The Father, the Son, in nomine Patri, Filii,
and the Holy Goat.
Yeah, the Holy Goat. How do you find a holy goat? Well, you look in Afghanistan.
Oh, this is going to get even more controversial.
Oh, hey, man. I love everybody. You know that. I love everyone. I just love some people so hard, I want to love them in the face with a brick.
Just says, like, it explains how small places became huge empires. I'm still not sure what you mean, like the connection between alchemy and the Holy Trinity. French Catholic cathedrals are filled with alchemy stuff. Yes, that's true. That is true. I always say to people, this is not an unsafe place, but this is not a safe place. If we can't discuss things, then then there's no point. I mean, within reason, obviously,
Right. No one's going to be hateful, but you have to be willing to be a little bit offensive.
If you can't say, like you just said earlier about the Christians, if you believe in the old Bible, then you're not a Christian.
Right.
In the Old Testament, sorry, not the Old Bible. The Old Testament, which is true. It's a very simple statement. When Jesus came, even I know that.
I bring unto you a new covenant.
And you
That's right.
And you're supposed to follow the New Testament.
The only way to heaven is through me. Yeah. So you ask people ask about, so if a murderer is on death row, he's been on death row for 20 years. And then at the very end of his life, he says, well, I accept Jesus into my heart. I'm going to heaven. Please forgive me. That he gets to go to heaven. But that's not the case.
I can do whatever I like.
That's not the case, though. See, asking for forgiveness is the first part of it. But then there is the repentance of sin. So basically, you have to spend the same amount of time in repentance that you did in the actual action of the sin. So if you were a bastard for 70 years, you don't have time to repent.
I mean, I've got a slightly different view on that, but I know what you're saying. But
that's the thing. It's dependent on what it is. But if you've really been a slime ball for 70 years and you die at the age of 71, there's no way you can really repent for a life like that. That's what the book, that the New Testament warns about, you being responsible for your own place, your own actions.
But like as Apostolus says, you can just make a sizable donation to the Catholic Church.
Well, that's only if you go through their special arch on their special days, so they can cash you with some pagan magic.
But you know that they are the true gods. So if you donate to the Catholic Church, you're guaranteed. You can do whatever the fuck you like.
I still want to know how much gold the Vatican has under it.
What do you think, lady?
What do I think about what? What is your question?
About going to heaven.
I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, because I saw a scene from a Ricky Gervais. I guess it was a series or something. I'm not sure. And he's very open about like anti-heaven, anti-Christianity, things like this. And I was thinking, like, how do I think about heaven? How do I think about energy if we move on from this life? And my answer is really, I don't know. And I don't bother myself with it. I don't bother myself with getting into the details of really anything about it. And it's a paradox because there comes a lot of problems with it as well. But I don't bother myself about labels. I don't bother myself about a lot of rules or rituals or things to a certain extent, right? I think I'm living this human experience here on Earth for a reason.
Ice cream.
So that's why I consider myself an elemental witch, right? So I practice what I can do to control my life here on Earth. And you mentioned also alchemy earlier, which I find interesting when we talk about the trifecta or the three. What do you call it? The
Trinity.
The Holy Goat.
The trifecta. What does trifecta mean?
That's a bet in a horse race. Yeah, you choose 3 different horses and 3 different races,
and then you get to heaven when you win.
It's you see this, and I mentioned this earlier. You see the same things across many religions, most of them, and you see the same themes, you see the same practices essentially, and they just come up with their own formulas depending on how their culture has progressed, or depending on the history or conflicts that they've had based on resources, and et cetera, et cetera. I separate historical views from spiritual views, and I think a lot of the time people get them mixed, and people want to have a conversation about culture and spirituality, and I think it's important to remember that you can separate them also. So what do I think about heaven? I don't know, to be honest.
Create your own heaven.
And I don't bother myself with it. I'm not really I'm not spending a lot of time thinking about it.
And when I was talking, that sounds great. I mean, that's the best thing you can do, to be honest.
Live your life.
Not concern yourself with getting into heaven or how to get into heaven, but live your life in a way that will lead to heaven. That's what, that ultimate.
And Barney asked me, what do I think about hell? It's the same thing. I don't concern myself with it. I don't understand why we should be innately punished for being born into a world where we're considered sinning based on natural implications that we have towards sex or toward enjoying the lavishes of life. I mean,
that's all a Christian morality.
It's all based in Christian morality. I don't prescribe to that.
This will be where my Christian experience comes into the idea of it. No matter what it is, it all came from the original idea of religion of Brahma. Okay, so the control comes later, but the actual original idea, like you said, moves across many of the different plateaus of religion. They all kind of have the same ideas. All kind of goes back to the same thing. If you live your life in a non-violent, non-hurtful way, you will be right with everything in anyone's path. Therefore, that even if you find out later that we get to heaven and sure enough, there's Jesus Christ sitting on a throne. Now what are we going to do? It won't matter. It won't matter a bit, because
I think that's one of my biggest, I don't know how to say, not mottos or something, but I like to say nothing matters and everything matters.
I'm not welcome in Christian heaven. I can tell you that from some of the things that I've done in my life. I'm not welcome in Christian heaven.
I have to say it in Dutch though. Ik geloof als iemand echt in God en in een redding gelooft, dan is er ook ergens een paradijs. Snap je? Dus gewoon gebaseerd op het feit dat ik geloof dat deze christelijke hemel waar is of echt is. Is er een kans dat ik daar ooit terecht kan komen?
Yeah, go on. No, just a little bit slower, so I'll understand.
I say it in English. If there's a chance that I would ever end up in Christian heaven, I would murder an entire family just to be sure.
Well, see, that's like me. I'm not welcome in heaven, but if I'm going to hell, it's okay, because I'm going to be hanging out with people like Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra. Those guys ain't going to heaven. They were friggin' alcoholic, womanizing, friggin' wife beaters, man. They ain't got no place in heaven. We get to watch the Hitler show every day at noon. They keep shoving a pineapple up his crapper, and he's got to push it out. Hell's not going to be that bad. There's different sections of hell. The closer you get to the center, the worse it gets, I'm sure.
144 places.
But when you look at the description of Jesus's ascent into heaven, you have to go to some of what's called Gnostic texts, the ones that didn't make it into the Bible according to the Cardinals.
The final cut.
Right, it didn't make the final cut because it said something like women are equal to men or something like that. This. Right. Now, who the hell is Jezediah? Nope, not in the Bible. But if you get into it and you read those texts, it talks about people like Adam and Noah and Abraham being in hell, clear up to the point that Jesus was crucified. That before he ascended into heaven, he took a pathway through hell and took everybody to heaven that's allowed to get there by the new rules. So if Abraham and Adam didn't have a chance of getting into heaven, I'm pretty much screwed.
Did you ever get your hands on this sacred text? I think it's called the Book of Lucia, and it's just all about this girl shaking her ass online. I don't know.
Was she twerking? Was she twerking? The twerkster.
She was just like revered in the community. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds hysterical. It sounds absolute.
I think they took it out, like when they did the King James version or something. They were like,
well, that was the other thing is
in the Bible.
Most of the Bible that was being read by English aristocrats, because the English poor couldn't read. So they had the church and listen to a cleric tell them what it said in that book. So the cleric just had to decide what he wanted to say. Oh, God, it looks like you're going to have to give 10% extra of your wealth here to us next week. So make sure you bring in 4
Guaranteed.
chickens. Not 2, but 4 chickens. It's just the absolute control that religion has over people. And some people that are just blind faithers. That was the reason I ended up in the confusion that I was as a young man, was simply every cleric I went to had no answers. Well, you just have to take it on faith.
You got to pay for those.
You just have to take it on faith, son. It's like, if thou shalt have no other God before me, does that mean that there are other gods?
There were others.
Yeah. And then you go, okay, well, if Adam and Eve were the first humans, where did everybody else come from?
The chicken.
And then when Noah and his family were the only ones left, where did all those people come from? And what really happened in Sodom and Gomorrah? Because I don't believe none of that crap that y'all are trying to tell me. And then you come later on with like the New International versions of the text, which is a lot more close to the original. But I can't read ancient Hebrew, so I have no idea what the Bible says.
Can we read some of the comments? I'm just trying to get in.
We gotta catch up with chat. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. All right, Bonnie, I'll read yours next. Jezza, this was, and I think this is I want to read this because I don't know much about this, and I think Jeffrey and Lucia actually may know more about this. Might be interesting. So he wrote, the original thing I was saying, that alchemy spread through the world, providing power where it went. It also drove people mad. So in madness, religion was invented. In other words, you earlier was talking about the fumes from smelting all the things. So that was his comment. I just want to then read Barney's before we go too far down the line. Hey Jeff, concerning your previous statement about spending the same amount of time in repentance, aren't we all screwed anyway? Because we're not going to live to 2,000 years. Because every baby is born in sin, so that means we actually need to spend 2,000 years repenting. We don't have that long.
Well, that's
not going to work.
Yeah, that's the question. Is the son held responsible for the father's sin? That becomes the question, because you are born clean, and then you're baptized, which wipes you clean. So being baptized in the name of, being baptized in name de Patri, Filii, Spiritus Sancti kind of gives you a protection until you're 12. And then once you're 12,
you get the contract.
That's right. And then you get the opportunity to become an actual person. In the eyes of the church, you don't have responsibility for your own religious actions until you reach the age of 12 in most Christian sects. That's when they have confirmation.
To get married.
Yeah, pretty much back in 1670s, because they had to. She was probably only going to live to be 19. She's probably going to die on the second kid, and he'll be remarried to the next 16-year-old coming across the board. I mean, those are draconian things, but it's the truth. They were marrying 12 and 14-year-olds because as soon as they got their blood, they needed to start having kids, because otherwise none of us would have survived. The average age of death was like 27.
Yeah, but I think that could have existed outside of religion as well.
Oh, it would have had to have. It did. I guarantee you that the hunter-gatherers were having children with girls that were 12 and 13 years old. It would have been a common thing. They would have been.
Oh, and now we're drifting into like a whole other aspect of like.
Well, I've also had a partial degree in anthropology, so I can talk about those things.
I've also studied anthropology, so then we get into a whole other discussion. So I think we should maybe pull it back. Then we'll keep it with like religion and Christianity. So.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's like the whole Mormon thing of taking taking multiple wives wasn't a church-wide thing. It wasn't really supposed to be in the basis of the Mormon religion, but somehow it got bastardized to it.
And it wasn't spread across the entire religion.
No.
There are plenty of Mormons that don't practice
have one wife,
polygamy,
kids. Yeah, the whole what do they call that? The nuclear family.
Oh, so crazy.
Jeff,
So funny. I went to when I went like my first study. I went to school in Arkansas, and I was at a private Christian university. And I mean, we had to go to chapel every day. It was, I mean, literally such a huge. It was Church of Christ, which is a whole other brand of
Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. Boy, whoo.
No. You're thinking Jesus. You're thinking LDS. No, Church of Christ.
Okay, yeah,
it's a different denomination, but it's a whole other brand. Yeah. So the LDS is the Mormons. Latter-day Saints are Mormons, but this was Church of Christ. So it's. I went. It's so funny. I went with a friend of mine who's gay as fuck, and we would be in chapel together every day. And we're both academics, and we're big brain, but we're there for the fun. We're here for the vibes, bro. We're here for the scholarship. I was there on an athletic scholarship, so I mean, I'm not gonna say shit because they're giving me money. Like, hello. And we would look at each other like, "You hear this shit? What is going on?"
If we don't piss people off today, then we never will.
Do what?
If we don't piss off people today, then we never will. It's not on purpose. I'm just joking.
Yeah, no, well,
I like the conversation though.
It comes down as this: is if you're offended by our conversation, there's other channels to watch at the moment. Yes. You can always come back.
And then there is no conversation.
And by the way, the views and opinions aired on this show are not necessarily those of Joe Roderick or Joe Roderick Incorporated.
Oh, some of them are.
Now you're covered. I said might not.
I mean, Joe, if you want to build an audience, there's such a market for this. Should we just be controversial? Should we do toxic tarot?
Well, look.
What did the cards say? The cards say.
I don't
your girlfriend's a bitch. You should dump her.
You're going to hell. Hello.
Right. Sorry. I hate
oh my
doing
God,
dark
it's gonna
readings.
Be painful too. You're gonna burn for eternity.
Oh man. See, I'm more of a sledgehammer. I'm more of a sledgehammer reader. I don't really candy coat most things. Wednesday nights I try to give it to you with some comedy, even when it's crap. But sometimes when there's 3 spades on the table, I'm just like, oh God, you poor bastard, man.
I do candy coat it because I'm a Cancer sun and a Pisces moon, so I will cry, and I don't like to be mean. So I'm gonna be your empathetic mom who hugs you and tells you everything's gonna be fine.
And that's what's beautiful about our community is the fact that there's no competition. Everybody has their own specialty in what they do.
This is why I always love Joe, because Joe, he's my like masculine Aries energy. When I really need to hear it how it's gonna be, I go to Joe.
Did we lose Joe?
No, I've just been replaced by you.
What the hell was that?
No, they can replace me with somebody else. But it's kind of on a timeout. I think it goes for about a minute or so. It's one of those things for subs.
Oh, I got you. So they can click on it.
Yeah. So what it'll do is it pulls your avatar, whatever your picture or your avatar is of your account.
I just like being able to have an open conversation with intelligent people that aren't going to judge me for my opinions any more than they're going to judge them for own.
Really, what it is people, I think, in this age, in being chronically online and constantly having to defend what you believe in, people lose the spirit of engaging in a back and forth of, well, that's interesting. Why do you think the way that you think? And I wish we had more of that, where you can believe something very controversial, but let's dive into it. Let's explore what led to your way of thinking, and let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
I've got a 20-year-old son who grew up in a far right conservative household, who is dating a trans person and considers himself bisexual and is about as far left as a person can get. And he used to think that I was some kind of conservative myself because, my parents were that. And I'm like, I'm a 50-year-old man, son. I've made my own choices. I'm a moderate. Okay. I expect better from everybody. I really just want people to do what they say they're going to do, because that's really the only thing that I have to go on is your word. So if you give me your word and then you break your word, then your word is no longer good to me. And that's a valuable thing. Somebody's word to do what they say that they're going to do is a very big thing in my world. And I judge people upon that. If they do what they say they're going to do, your mana grows in my pool. If I have to chase after you for things that, you said you were going to take care of or do, then maybe not so much. And that's the energy that just gets pulled around me. I collect broken things because I'm broken.
I think we also forget, or not that we forget, but we don't realize to take into consideration that every single person has their own composition. So like mentally, emotionally, physically, and they have their own unique perspective on the world. So not only will their beliefs make up their opinion, but we have the nature versus nurture, which is like a really broad way of saying it. But everyone, regardless of if they even share the same perspective, they're going to have their own take on a lot of things. So I don't like debate. I like conversation. I want to hang out and talk to people and engage and share my opinion and not berate or make someone feel like they have to really explain themselves a lot. If you feel like, it needs to be passive. It needs to be welcoming. It needs to be, it's not aggressive. And I really like that. And I feel like tonight it's been really nice. So it's been good. I like it.
Yeah, I like being in people's company that I can learn stuff, because I don't know everything. I know people think I do. Oh no, wait, they're just being sarcastic. I like to learn new things, so I like people's opinions on stuff. I don't necessarily have to agree, but I still learn. Like I'm curious about. And we can't seem to talk about that. The Jez's idea of the whole alchemy and all of that, and just literally drove them nuts. It was the 3 minerals, not the 3 sort of divinity things. I like to be able to. Like I'd never thought about that, so I thought that was quite interesting. I'll read it again.
Can we revisit that really quick? Because I wanted to say something about this earlier, and then I guess I got distracted. But I mentioned the. Do what?
Go on. No, go on. I've got it in front of me, so I'll read
it. I forget exactly what the question was. No, earlier. It was a while ago.
Yeah, Jizzle was just postulating or presenting that perhaps. I'll read it to you. The original thing what I was saying was original thing I was saying that alchemy spread through the world, providing power where it went. It also drove people mad, and originally it talked about the fumes, smelting, and all that, and drove them batty. So in the madness, religion was invented.
I think that's a combination of psyche and all of the physical aspects of people just existing as a human, in combination with things like what you can actually do when you concentrate your. I really try to avoid labels. I really try to keep it open to interpretation, because this is also the problem that I have, where I don't feel the need to prove myself and prove that I'm having
you're right or wrong.
Not that, but to prove that my opinion is based in something substantial. I don't feel the need to do this, because I'm not going to waste my breath to do this. No. And it really reverts back to I really try to avoid labels, because I don't find them helpful. I don't find it necessary, even if you want to get some understanding on something. But to go back to the trifecta, it was something about alchemy that we were talking about, and I don't exactly remember what it was, but it was something like I would relate that to alchemy, because it would be like meeting the middle world with the upper world and the underworld, or however people would define that. But that's what I would consider alchemy, and that's how I could see that being a traditional theme, or being a consecutive thing throughout religion. And that's really messy to say that, because it's been a minute since we were talking about it, but that's what I was going to say. So I just had to say that really quick.
The idea of alchemy in historical religious sects, the religious clerics were also keeper of science. They weren't just the keeper of the religious secrets, but they were also the ones that sought after alchemy. They were the ones that held the chains to go along with that, because it wasn't just the study or the quest for changing lead into gold. Alchemy was the study of the periodic table, basically. Let's combine this and see what the hell it does next. I mean, that's really
won't do that again.
Exactly. Oh shit! The lab blew up and we killed 3
Wow, that's
people.
a nice bomb.
That's a good one. Let's take note of that one real quick. But yeah, it was a normal thing that like the monks in England were also the ones that were in the bottom, in the basement, dabbling with how to make mead, how to make beer, how to make ale. That's their magic.
Let's ferment something.
Well, right. Well, that's the thing is as we go through it and we look at what alchemy is versus what it was imbued with religious symbolism and language. They kind of saw the quest of the philosopher's stone, that substance capable of transforming whatever into gold, any base metal, really. As you were talking about, the spiritual transformation of self. The transmutation of metals mirrored the process of purifying and perfecting the human soul. So that's, again, as we talked about, when you leave the physical, you go into the astral, you move through the mental. Well, there's your same connection to alchemy, is the idea of combining those 3 elements, as we're talking about, to reach a higher understanding, is the way that they are trying to disseminate that to their culture so that they can digest it. I know those seem like weird words, but I'm not trying to confuse you. But that's
yeah. Wait, I have a question, because when you say the mental and the astral, right, then in my mind, I'm going from this material, earthly plane that we're on, and then you say mental and astral, so I'm going up. When you are mentioning the Trinity or whatever, however I was trying to explain that earlier, and alchemy, do you also marry that with something below the material world, or going something into?
I think that the chase of alchemy was an attempt to explain the understanding of the higher self. So to simple people who don't read, have absolutely no education, and want to make sure that the monster brings the sun back in the morning, you've got to have a different relationship with those people to make them understand that they're still responsible for building their higher self. So by trying to show them, by combining these things, you get a better thing. Like,
do you think that people have to build their higher self?
I think that we have to aspire to be a better being tomorrow than we were today.
Oh, okay. So then let me clarify what I'm asking. Do you think that this experience that we're having on Earth, that we are working toward becoming something, or is it that thing already exists, and we're working toward connecting with it or realizing that?
Okay. So now we have to go just a step back in the theosophy idea of the animal world versus the human world. Do animals have souls? In the understanding of theosophy in this particular line, no. A cow does not have a soul. A cow has a part of the soul. All cows they serve a well of souls. So when a cow dies, it moves back into the well of souls. It'll get reborn as a cow, and it'll just dab out of that well of cow souls and become a cow. It's okay. It's great. It's still a living being. It still deserves to be respected. That cow is going to aspire to be the absolute best cow it can ever be. And eventually it will actually transmute from a cow into the lowest human. So when you become the lowest human out of that pool, you know nothing. You haven't been to your ego yet. Your ego was just created. Once you become a man, and when they say man, they mean, mankind as a whole, you then have your own soul. That bit of well that you took from the animal well is now yours, and you're going to build that soul.
That's also just based in some certain religion somewhere? I mean, because you were talking about Hinduism earlier.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ideas of it, that's coming from the Vedic texts that are 11 to 13, 14,000 years old. So these same texts that talk about deities and guardian angels and archangels and demons and such also include this higher self information. So once you become a person, you are then moving through the different planes. You first become physical and you learn everything you can about being a physical person. When that physical person
Jeffrey,
dies,
I think then it's important to clarify, are you speaking from your own personal belief, or are you speaking from the academic
this is right
understanding of a certain...
Right out of the Theosophy textbook. It's been around since 1906. The Theosophy Society is now based
sure.
in
No.
Chicago.
I'm asking you really quick just to clarify, because I think I misunderstood if you were talking about what you believe personally, or if you're speaking of like what you understand academically.
Well, I'm speaking of the idea of the relationship of building yourself to that, as I said, the aspiration to be a better being tomorrow than you were today puts you on that quest of ultimately not coming back here to the physical plane ever again. Eventually, through this understanding,
enlightenment,
you get enlightenment. Correct. So you attempt enlightenment every trip to Earth. Every time you get reborn in the physical form, you're trying to reach enlightenment, because then you don't have to come back here anymore.
Can I ask you like a creative brain teaser then?
Sure.
If there are a bunch of souls out there, because Dorian, what is her last name? Colleen? Dorian Colleen, or anyway, not important. If there are a bunch of souls out here waiting to come to Earth to work through some karmic justice, essentially, what do you think those souls then are out there doing? Like, is there energy just out there in the universe in standby, like waiting to be reincarnated to some sort of...
Okay, so that's how that, in the same understanding of the Theosophy textbook. Okay, once you die off as a physical human being, your body dies, turns into dust, whatever the case may be. Your trinity, your body, mind, and spirit, is then separated. When you die in the physical plane, you can't remain here. You must go somewhere else. Energy never dissipates. It's always going to be the same amount of energy, because you've claimed that as a person, as becoming a whole person. You move on to the astral plane. The astral plane is where you take your understandings of what you learned in the physical plane and you digest them in your brain. You go over them until you finally get an understanding of what the physicalness was supposed to teach you, allows you to move into the mental plane, where you can then look back at over those two stages, both the astral plane and your physical plane, to have a higher understanding of it. Nobody knows how long that goes on. It all depends on your experience on this particular round of Earth. Still going through the same idea of it. Once you have that final look back and understanding of the physical, the astral, and the mental understanding, you move into your higher self. But you may not understand anything. Like, you don't understand how your higher self works because this is your first time around. You don't recognize anything. You're just confused. So you choose to then go back through the mental plane, through the astral plane, and back into another physical body, so that you can enlighten yourself further. And each time you come round, you get further and further enlightened. It could be 100 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 1,000 years. There's no real understanding of how long each individual soul takes to come back. But when we talk about being an old soul, like, I know I'm an old soul. Like, I literally feel when I look at imagery of the pyramids, that I can see them when they were new. Like, I can see the white casings on the pyramids when I look at them in high definition pictures. No one's ever taken a picture of one of those. But for some reason, I have this DNA memory in my head. So ultimately, by becoming enlightened through however many trips it takes through the physical world to get to the higher self, you don't come back here. But you can still move between the mental and the astral planes. So you still have an existence and you can still interact with people.
Yeah,
you can still gain more enlightenment, but your ultimate enlightenment keeps you from coming back to the physical plane, because you no longer need to suffer in this human form any longer.
Bonnie just wants to ask something. Ask Jeff about the infinite divine point of view, because what about the the oversoul of the individual who knows and sees everything versus the higher self and the human self.
Well, right. That's the oversoul is that piece of the soul well that you took when you became a person. So you always have that, and that is what you are looking to enrich. So the body and the mind will eventually no longer have use, but you will always have your spirit or your soul. And that's what continues on. That's where the actual energy will exist, is in that soul, whatever that soul decides to do. I don't know. The ideas of theosophy don't really go deeper into past that, because then it becomes occultism. And
so I was kind of asking you this. It was like a creative brain teaser, and it's not so serious, but I was asking, like, you personally, like, what do you think like the process is for us? Like, why are we serving a purpose? Are we going through a cycle here? Are we meant to be?
I personally know that I am here for a reason. What that reason is, I'm still not sure. But throughout my entire life, some people call it a feeling of deja vu, but I don't get deja vu. What I get is an affirmation of being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. I've had a couple of those while I've been streaming with people, and I just get that. I'll actually stop the stream and say, look, I got to explain this. This is what's going on. And I will just have this overwhelming feeling of being in exactly the right place, doing exactly the right thing at the right time. That could be talking to a stranger. It could be eating in a restaurant. Doesn't matter where I am, but for some reason, I just get this overwhelming understanding that, yes, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. When I came to Twitch, I had been really funneling with the idea for a year before my son finally convinced me to go ahead and do it. But we were in Gold Beach, Oregon, and I started asking the ocean some questions, and I'm a Pisces. And the ocean gave me some answers, which I wasn't really expecting. But then I questioned the ocean to make sure that I was understanding it correctly, and the laws of physics broke. An outgoing tide rose and soaked me to the waist. After it had already passed my knees and was already on the way back out to the ocean level raised and soaked me to a point that I went, okay, I get your point. And I came here and I started my stream, because that's what I was told to do. So I do believe that we do have a purpose of some sort. And we can either choose to seek it or not. But I have a feeling now that I have such a deeper understanding of what is not religion and what is just spirit guidance, that religion hinders people more than it helps them still in the 21st century. I think organized religion really hinders people far. We could be much further along in society as a whole if we just get rid of the organized religion in politics, in everything.
Well, I've got one more question one final question for Jeff. Ask Jeff one final thing. What does he say to my gifts like him of playing the right music for someone, discussing a certain topic and other things, and they were there exactly when they were exactly what they needed to hear? Is it me or is that them? While he's looking for confirmation on his gifts again.
Well, okay, so people ask me how, like when I tell people what I do now, that I stream on Twitch and I do readings, over the internet. You can't possibly connect with somebody enough to give them a good reading. And I tell them, well, I'm communicating with them over a digital medium, but I'm not actually connecting with them that way. When I open my parlor table and I light my candles and I put on my tokens, I'm absolutely sending up a beacon into the astral plane. As a physical person, if you really are seeking answers, you will also put energy into the astral plane. And if you're sitting in my room and you're going to have a reading from me, my beacon and my spirit guide will come find you and bring you straight to the table in the astral table. And you'll stand there and get your reading. So I'm not connecting with people over a digital connection. I'm connecting with people over the astral plane.
Energy.
It's no different than I would connect with them in a parlor if I wasn't holding their hands. I wasn't physically touching them in a parlor, I wouldn't really be connecting with them in any other way than through the astral plane. So why can't I do it this way? And I honestly think that that's a matter of people are looking for answers, and their astral plane is active, and your beacon is out there, saying, hey, over here, I'm talking about answers. Maybe you can find what you're looking for. And that's when they show up. So I honestly think that it's probably more of a cosmic attraction. The laws of attraction are absolutely real. And I think the fact that you were offering answers or information to something that person was searching for, that, the astral plane put you together.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
I'm going to have to read from OBS because my dashboard's just gone nuts. I'm going to have a couple of other questions before we move on. Postetta, hey. Real question to add to the list. I'm not sure what she meant, so she may want to clarify that. Does anyone here know what could be, and then quotation marks, the seventh sight? As
hang
in
on a
vision.
Second. I got to let my dog out real quick, and I'll answer that because I
dog is going crazy on the couch now.
So cute, the dog sitting in the background. I like the way it comes up right behind his head and just barks.
Where my mind automatically goes would be to, we have five senses. Our body naturally has five senses.
Is it the seventh sight or is it the second sight?
The Postetta said the seventh.
Yeah, because that's what I'm not familiar with the seventh sight, but I am definitely familiar with the second sight.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't understand the context, so I can't give you. I just want to call up Hank. He's got a question as well.
Yeah, my guru doesn't know anything about the seventh sight either, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Lucia, you understand? Okay, Postetta's posted again. When I was a 6-year-old, a math teacher froze and just looked at me in awe and said, "Oh, the seventh sight," and asked to shake my hand. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've never heard of that. I haven't heard about this before, so I don't really know anything about it.
The second sight is a phenomenon of extrasensory perception, clairvoyance, usually found in Celtic Scottish folklore. The second sight, a person has the ability to they see visions and insights into the future. So that may have been what they were referring to and just maybe called it by a local nomenclature. But a second sight is basically a seer. I'm a seer. When I connect with somebody, when I actually touch with somebody, unfortunately for me, I experience all their traumas. Isn't that a bitch? Okay. I mean, seriously, when I touch hands with somebody, I experience every single trauma they've ever had since they were born to that very minute. And that's why I don't really hug a lot of people. I might shake somebody's hands because I can put up enough of an energy block to not really get too much of it. But the second sight is somebody who can their intuition leads to prophetic knowledge. I see a bad time coming for the world, and I talk about it rarely because I don't like to give bad news, but I keep talking about it and I keep telling everybody, buy gold, buy silver, buy precious metals, no coins, no numismatic, no graded nothing. You want bullion rounds, you want bullion, period. That's what you want to put your money into right now. Buy precious metals because there's a bad time coming for the world. The world's about the centralized bank. The world's about to go to a centralized bank with at least all the first world countries. And that's just going to be
the second biggest bank in the US just folded.
Yeah.
It was bought by JP Morgan.
Not just one, 14 of them. I mean,
I've been warning people for about 5 years because, I've been following the signs and learning
Joe,
more.
I think I'm gonna head out soon, actually.
Okay, no problem. I know it's late for you as well.
It was awesome hanging out with you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Have a great stream.
It was a great stream. I completely unexpected, so I really enjoyed it.
I've only got about 15 minutes too before I got to cook dinner, so we're having teriyaki beef over rice
love
tonight.
All you awesome guys. Stay cool.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun. This is what I always wanted to do. Thank you, Lucia.
Yeah, this is definitely fun. Usually I got way too much to do, but today I ain't done shit. I got all my doctor stuff done early, and I was like, hey, let's go hang out with Joe.
Thank you so much. I mean, I really do appreciate, because I mean, I tried to do this last year. Let me just do a shout out for Lucia. Well, and I just couldn't get people together. And eventually I said, screw it. Like my life is already fucked up. I don't need any more crap. Like I got my own life to sort out. It's like I said, so I just gave up. It's like herding cats. I just gave up. And today, today I prepared. I had videos and stuff and content, and then the conversation just went in the way that I actually prefer. You know, so I like that. I'll just do it another day. If I don't do it, I don't care. I enjoy this much more
because a natural conversation, and we're still kind of within the guides of divination and.
Yeah,
religion has everything to do with that. I mean, for God's sakes, Mary went to see a seer about the birth of Jesus. He was called an angel, but it was still a seer. You know what I mean? It's so hard to get people to understand that it's all paganism.
All of it. And that's the thing is, and like I've been saying for a long time, which is why Barney's kind of understood now why I don't get into circular arguments, because. Like there's nothing to be there's nothing to be learned from it. Like you have to experience certain things. You can't explain them. I mean, you can explain it to the best of your ability. So it's like you just can't explain it. You have to experience it. So
I gotta catch this call. This is my doctor. I will be back with you. Thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right.